grand central station of the will. The skyline of your mind will determine the skyline of your future. Welcome to Mind Map Life Stories. We've taken 6 people with potentially life-controlling issues and found that through both the power of the Holy Spirit and through a change in the thinking process, they've been able to turn their lives around and change their worlds forever. Welcome to the mind map of the Christian's mind. At the very center of the mind is the grand central station of the will, where decisions are made over every thought that enters into it. These thoughts either board trains of temptation that lead to the fallen region of the mind, or trains of faith that lead to the new region of the mind. The more trains of thought that arrive in the fallen mind, the stronger it gets. The more trains of thought that arrive in the new mind, the stronger it gets. In this episode, I'll be talking with Poe about her abuse and her life in the occult, and how through both faith in God and by launching brand new trains of thought within her mind, she was able to be set free and transformed and go on to experience the best years of her life. Poe, you had a tragic past, and so tell us about it for a few minutes.
When I was born, I had a cleft lip and palate that was quite severe. So I had a hole in my face, so this part of my face was missing. And because of that, that changed all the family plans, because we were supposed to move away to South Africa and have a big job, and we were all going to be rich and it was all going to be great. But because it was so severe, I got put into sort of research and the whole cleft lip and palate discovery. And because of that, we couldn't move. And then my family missed out on lots of money, so therefore I had cursed the family.
So in saying you cursed the family, were they into curses? Was there something superstitious in your family background?
Yeah, my family were Satanists.
They were Satanists?
Yeah, they were. So they genuinely believed I had caused a curse on the family, and I had to make atonement for it for the rest of my life.
Unbelievable. So, okay, take us the next step further. What was happening to you?
I just grew up with brothers and sisters who, they were brought up really well because my mum and dad did love them. So they got all the general family things and treats and stuff, but I was told that I was a curse. I would be introduced to people as the one who'd cursed the family. The name that they gave me, which isn't Poe, was because it meant I was small and insignificant, because that's what I was to them. I wouldn't eat meals at the dinner table. I would have to sit on the floor in the corner because I wasn't part of the family. And general family things I wouldn't be allowed to be a part of. My birthday wasn't recognised.
Did your brothers and sisters accept that as just the norm?
Yeah, that was the norm. That's what they grew up with from the day I was born. So if that's what you grew up in, if that's what you're taught from birth, you believe your parents, don't you? So.
And your parents were part of a spiritualist church, or just going nowhere, just on the dark side?
No, they were quite involved. My dad was quite high up in it, and he's quite high up in the Masons as well, and all that kind of thing. It was more my dad's side of the family, and my mum kind of married into it. So yeah, they were pretty influential.
Were they into tarot cards or witchcraft or stuff like that, or was it just their own breed?
Yeah, they were into that. When I grew up, they dedicated me to Satan because of the way I was born. They really believed that I had to be completely for him. So then I got what they would call giftings. So I could read tarot cards, and I could do the whole astral projection, and all the spiritualists and all the ghosts would come to me and talk to me, and I would have to pass on messages, and they would make money off me.
fallen mind are three kinds of cities: the royal cities, the industrial cities, and the historic cities. The royal cities are the cities of self, that includes self-justification, self-pity, self-doubt, and self-centeredness. The industrial cities are the attitudinal cities. These include fear, inferiority, rejection, and anger. The historic cities are the traditional, tempting cities. These are the cities that include lust and greed and debauchery, as well as envy and deception. What we need to do, through exercising the power of the will at our Grand Central Station and exercising the power of God, is to cut all supplies off from every one of these fallen cities.
So track it through a little bit, like take us through when you were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of age, that kind of thing.
Well, when I was 3, like when I was probably 6 is my first real memory of growing up, it was very normal for me to sit on the floor and wait for to be fed.
Yes.
When people would come in the house, if there was any visitors, I would naturally leave the room. Like, I still to this day know where the exits are and everywhere I go, because it's a natural thing that I just do now. And I would never speak. Like, I did not speak growing up unless somebody directed a question at me and they would get a direct answer, and that's all. Because if I cried or made any kind of noise, then my mum was the one who would beat me. Like, she would beat me a lot. Whereas, like, when I was 6, my dad introduced me to his sort of paedophile ring, which was a whole lot more pain brought into my little life, really.
Oh. Okay, so how long did sexual abuse go for?
Until he left. I think I was 13 at the time.
And then he left?
Yeah, that was great.
What happened were you going to school?
I lived in a small village, and in that village we were quite prominent, and like I could walk into the school and I was known as being his daughter and being part of a very significant family. So I always had to put on this face of being part of a good family. Like, I did not believe that anything that happened to me was wrong. I just convinced myself that that's how my life was supposed to be.
But no one found out. The teachers didn't know what was going on. You kept it all private.
Yeah. There was once in high school, because I used to drink and take a lot of drugs in high school as well, but I did really well in my school grades if there was one nice teacher. There was once I got completely hammered and was taken to hospital and had my stomach pumped and all the usual stuff, and I spelled out everything to the teacher. Like, not the spiritualist side of stuff, because I just thought that was normal. But by the time I got to high school, I knew that it wasn't normal to be having people abusing you. I knew that it wasn't normal to be getting beaten. I knew it wasn't normal to have to, like, scavenge for food. And I just, like, spelled everything out to this teacher. And the following day at school, after the hospital thing, she asked me when I was sober, and I told her all again, but I couldn't handle, for some reason I couldn't handle talking about the sexual abuse. Like, when she mentioned that, I just, like, suddenly felt filthy, but yet when she mentioned the physical abuse, I didn't feel filthy. I was like, yes, this A, B, C and D happens to me and I know it's not right. So she actually contacted the police, and the police came to my house. So then I had to sit with the police and the social workers, age 12, and tell them everything. And because my dad is in the Masons and he's very high up, a lot of the police in that area are in the Masons. And they do a little secret handshake and then they call me a delinquent.